I'm fighting Gervonta Davis on Netflix.
Let's go.
People think that he could actually beat me, and people think he could outbox me, and he's so powerful and this and that. That's what makes it a good fight. November 14th, Netflix.
Jake Paul, the viral disruptor of boxing, is stepping into the biggest spotlight of his career fresh off dismantling Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Across from him stands Gervonta "Tank" Davis, a pound-for-pound powerhouse who's built his empire turning controversy into currency and knockouts into statements. The stage is set, the lights are blinding, and everyone's wondering the same thing. How's Jake feeling heading into this storm?
Gervonta Davis just posted that he would beat the brakes off of you if you guys fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down. Let's run it. Like, I'd be super, super down. I don't know if
Gervonta needs Jake Paul. Let's be clear, right?
Is there a height limit in boxing?
Ready, baby. Let's go. After months of rumors, wild social media shots, and two fighters walking completely different paths, Jake Paul and Gervonta "Tank" Davis finally went face-to-face, and the moment was every bit as chaotic as fans expected. The tension was real, the energy was explosive, and for a second, it felt like these two didn't just want to fight. They wanted to prove who really runs the sport. The fight is officially locked in, the energy is hostile, and in their final face-off before fight night, both men made one thing crystal clear. This isn't just a show, it's personal. Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Jake Paul aren't just fighting for headlines or hype. They're fighting for pride, legacy, and the right to say they run boxing's biggest moment.
Jake Paul versus Tank, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, everyone's talking about it. It's a whole thing. A lot of people liked it, didn't like it.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you first saw that it was a thing?
It pissed me the fuck off, bro.
Yeah, why?
It's just disappointing on mainly Jake's end. You know, we're not falling for the Disney Channel bit no more. We're not falling for "you're not a fighter" no more. We're not falling for that. You know, you're ranked as a cruiserweight and you're out here trying to fight a lightweight. And then on top of it, you were just talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. That doesn't make no sense. And, you know, I just felt like it was a disgrace to boxing and kind of it was not a good move by Jake Paul. You know, I understand people saying, you know, Gervonta got to go get his money, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, like, we're not talking about that shit. We're talking about the sport, bro. We're not talking about, oh, you got to get that money, bro. Yeah, but everybody's open to criticism. That's the whole point of this media shit.
Right.
That's why they talk about basketball players. They don't talk about, well, LeBron's making too much. Like, nobody cares, bro. If LeBron's missing the shot, he's missing the fucking shot. So at the end of the day, bro, I just thought it was a disgrace to the sport. Because on one end, you know, you got the casuals, right? The casuals don't see the weight difference. They see Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis.
Yeah.
And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're going to think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fighter.
Let's rewind for a second. Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was billed as Jake's biggest test yet. Chavez Jr., a former world champion with deep boxing roots, grit, and that legendary Mexican fighting spirit, was supposed to humble the YouTuber-turned-boxer. But instead, Jake flipped the script, walking in with confidence, controlling the pace, and proving he wasn't just playing fighter anymore. He was one.
It would just be sad that if Tank Davis' boxing career, real boxing career, championship, is over because, you know, of the Jake Paul fight. It would be sad for boxing. I don't know for that to be the case. But if he make, you know, in excess of 30, 40 million.
They reported $40 million.
I don't know what I don't know what he does after that. Does he come back to boxing and defend those titles? I don't know, bro. So I don't know if could this be the last time we see Tank Davis in a real championship fight? Or was Lamont Roach the last fight we see of him like that? I don't know. But if it is, that would be a tough pill to swallow for boxing fans.
Jake unloaded a vicious right that put Chavez on wobbly knees and never looked back. Round after round, he dominated, not with reckless haymakers, but with calculated intensity, slick movement, crisp jabs, and a fight IQ that kept Chavez guessing. By the final bell, there was no debate. Jake had proven he belonged in the ring, and as he said afterward, no, Yeah, I'm going to knock him out.
Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. They just announced the fight. What's your instant reaction to that?
I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. I think it's not a real fight. Jake just too big. Tank ain't gonna be able to get in from that jab. Jake land one good punch on Tank, it's over with.
The moment the post-fight mic hit his hand, Jake Paul dropped a bomb, calling out Gervonta Tank Davis right there in front of the world. No hesitation, no promo theatrics, just pure confidence and smoke. It wasn't about chasing clout this time. It was about making a statement. The same guy who once called out Canelo was now aiming straight at one of boxing's deadliest pound-for-pound fighters. Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. It almost sounds unreal. A YouTuber turned boxer stepping up against an undefeated, multi-division world champion? On paper, it feels like a mismatch, maybe even a circus act. But this is 2025, a time when boxing's old rules don't apply anymore. The sport's become part entertainment, part legacy, and somehow, Jake Paul versus Tank Davis fits perfectly into that chaos. So the real question is, what do you think about Jake stepping up to fight Tank?
Jake Paul saved him from that.
Should he have fought Roach? Do you think he avoided him, ducked him, or anything like that? It was just this business decision.
I can't say, bro. It looks like it. It looks like he didn't want that. He didn't want to go back down that road, and Jake Paul saved him from that. You know, Jake Paul saved him from that, bro. He got out, you know what I mean?
That's the one that's going viral, Chin. That's a good one. Jake Paul saved him. Got you. I mean,
yeah, but that's the truth, it seems like.
Yeah.
And Roach, you know, hey, Roach came with it, bro. And it looks like through their familiarity of coming up in the amateurs and all that together, you know, Roach really know him better than most fighters.
Might have heard this one before.
You know what I mean? Roach know him, bro. So
yeah,
I think that was a, you know, hindsight always 2020. I didn't think he wanted to go back down there. That was a tough out for him.
Here's what makes this fight different. This isn't Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. That was an exhibition, a flashy sparring match where Floyd carried the show and Logan posed for the cameras. But Jake's built different. This fight is sanctioned, real, and dangerous. So when Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis stood face to face for the final time before fight night, it wasn't just heated, it was nuclear. No bodyguards could calm them, no promoters could keep it civil. Jake towered over Tank, losing confidence, but Tank didn't flinch. He looked up, locked in, and dared Jake to blink. You could feel the tension through the screen. This isn't respect, this is rivalry. Tank doesn't like Jake. Not as a boxer, not as a person, and definitely not as someone who thinks he deserves to share the same ring.
What do you make of Tank versus Gervonta?
It's a joke. It's a joke, you know. Yeah, it's a joke. It's gonna be like Mike Tyson. It's gonna be a sparring match, and after they're gonna just steal everybody's money. Same thing.
You gonna watch it?
No.
Jake's eating it up. He knows how to sell a fight. And he knows he's not just punching a name on a poster, but a man walking in with his pride on the line. That pride is exactly what Jake wants to shatter. Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather watches from the sidelines. The same mentor who helped build Tank into a superstar and once called him the next big thing, which only raises the stakes higher. This is equal parts sport, theater, and personal war, and nobody really leaves untouched.
How do I even start to break down a Tank Davis versus Jake Paul fight? Tank, you know, a massively powerful fighter at 135 pounds, but his punch output is among the lowest in the sport. Jake has a pretty decent punch output for a guy that's 200 pounds. He hits hard in his own right, but doesn't have the skill and capabilities anywhere close, or the feet, or the hand speed, or the eyes anywhere close to Tank Davis, but has a power that Tank Davis has probably never felt, but just because Jake is naturally 70 pounds bigger than him, right? So 10 rounds, 3 minutes, who starts to show the wear and tear first? I know if Tank touches him on the jaw, it's probably not going to feel like roses, regardless if he's 135 or 150 or whatever he steps in that night. He's still a Tank and has still put guys down as he's gone up in weight, but Jake is just so much bigger. How much will the power that Tank has at the lower weight classes affect?
Jake's eating it up. He knows how to sell a fight, and he knows he's not just punching a name on a poster, but a man walking in with his pride on the line. That pride is exactly what Jake wants to shatter. Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather watches from the sidelines. The same mentor who helped build Tank into a superstar and once called him the next big thing, which only raises the stakes higher. This is equal parts sport, theater, and personal war, and nobody really leaves untouched.
Is the burnt bridge with my brother unfixable?
I don't hate your brother. You guys need to fight guys your the same size. When you fought Floyd, you are massive. He did hit you with a fucking bomb, and you fucking ate it. He's gonna fight Gervonta Davis.
Who do you got?
Gervonta, I think, hits way harder than Floyd, but he's too small. Your brother's gonna be able to get inside on him, put his weight on him, tie him up.
I hear your critique on fighting guys the same size as you. Is that why you guys wouldn't let me fight Conor?
Yeah, you're fucking huge. Conor weighs 145 pounds, 155 pounds.
Yeah, but he says he can beat me.
Jake Paul isn't the same guy who fought Nate Robinson, not even close. He's evolved, not just in skill but in mindset. Say what you want about him, but the man trains like a pro, fights like a pro, and takes real risks in a sport that chews people up. He's not afraid to get hit, not afraid to prove himself the hard way. Jake Paul went from internet fame to earning the respect, or at least the attention, of real fighters, and now he's standing across from one of the most dangerous men in boxing.
Gervonta Davis's guarantee.
I call bullshit.
Me too.
I call bullshit.
$200 million is a lot of money.
That'd be the most any athlete's ever made in one event, in one night. Where are they getting that money?
I mean, it's Netflix.
Okay. Mike Tyson didn't make that. Jake Paul didn't make that.
No. 20 million, I would believe, not 200 million.
20 million seems realistic.
That's a lot.
Even because Netflix is bigger, but there's no pay-per-view model. So, and Gervonta is a big pay-per-view draw, especially for being a lighter weight class.
Yeah.
So 20 to even 40 I can get.
Oof, that's a lot.
40 I can understand.
When push comes to shove, though, like 20.
Like Canelo's getting that 40.
Yeah.
But Gervonta Davis, he was, especially on Showtime, he was a big pay-per-view star.
Yeah.
He's a knockout artist. 200 mil is just completely false.
God, Jake is so much bigger.
Yeah, man.
I mean, so much bigger.
I don't get it. If he thinks this is going to make him legitimate in boxing, I just don't get what he do.
He didn't need to fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., but he did. He didn't need to call out Gervonta Tank Davis, but he did. Because for Jake, this isn't about the money anymore. It's about legacy. It's about silencing every critic who ever called him a gimmick. Let's be honest, though, for Tank, this fight makes absolutely zero sense from a career standpoint. On paper, it's all risk and no reward. But that's what makes it so wild. This might just be one of the most unpredictable moments in boxing history.